From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on The Debate. Arnab Goswami on The Debate.
Good evening and welcome. It's time for Super Primetime Max on The Debate with Arnab. And there are some people who still say that we are entering a phase where it could be the start of World War III. I think they're fooling themselves. World War III has already started. A world war is already upon us. And that is why it's time for us to take sides. Last night, Iran fired about 200 missiles, including hypersonic missiles. Some of them broke through the Iron Dome anti-missile system and did hit Israeli targets. Can we stay neutral? Can you stay neutral? Can you see these pictures and say, it doesn't matter to me? I'm going to bury myself into some hole in the ground and say, it doesn't matter to me, I'll stay neutral. Well, you can't. You shouldn't. We can't be neutral. Should we take sides? We should. Because will it impact us? It will. Will there be a third world war? Can there be a third world war? Yes, we are, as of tonight, effectively in a third world war, or maybe closer at least to a third world war, to a world war than we've ever been since 1945. If this war escalates, Russia will not stay away. If this war escalates, China will not be able to stay completely off the grid. It may want to because the Chinese economy is tanking. Xi Jinping is in big trouble, but he won't be able to stay away. So we tonight must get ready for the clear possibility of living through a world war 3 years after living through COVID. As we move from one catastrophic situation to another, here are the critical questions all of us must ask. Firstly, think of the visuals. Full frame right now, ladies and gentlemen. Full frame. And ask yourself, who started this? Who started this? See the pictures of the Iranian missiles hitting Israel and ask yourself, who started this? Can any sane person deny that the Hamas started it when they murdered and gang raped Israelis at a music festival on October 7th last year? Can anyone deny that? Now coming back, question number 2. Does a country facing terrorism have or have not the right to use maximum force to defend itself? I think it does. Thirdly, how does anyone in the Muslim world justify the use of sexual violence, rape, and gang rape as an act of self-defense, which is exactly how Iran described the October 7th attack? And finally, have the wokes of the world who are supporting the Islamists, how do these wokes defend pirates? How do these wokes defend terrorists? How do these wokes, have they gone mad to be defending suicide bombers in the name of resistance? Viewers, these are clear questions. Replay this tape and ask yourself, are these questions relevant or not? And ladies and gentlemen, that is why you cannot be neutral this time. Because a world war is upon us already. And this is the time to take sides on it. I want to know which side you're on. That's my first debate tonight. On debate number 2, I continue to argue I continue to argue in debate number 2 on why we should support Israel openly and clearly. Let's not walk a tightrope. A tightrope is rubbish. A tightrope is unnecessary. That's debate number 2. And here are the headlines. This Wednesday evening on the debate tonight. These are the visuals from last night, and Israel has vowed retaliation. They have warned of severe consequences after a series of escalations in West Asia. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls for an emergency security meeting, vowing strict action. Netanyahu's message is loud and clear. Iran will pay for this mistake. Moments after launching a missile barrage into Israeli territory, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard issues a direct warning. If Israel strikes, we will be striking back. Iran promises a crushing response if provoked further. West Asia is a powder keg. Hezbollah relentlessly launches strikes. With Iranian proxies on the move, there is no sense of calm, no sign of peace. West Asia is on the edge, and violence has spiraled out of control. America enters the war. Pentagon boosts troop and equipment presence in the Middle East as fears of a broader global conflict are becoming real. France has joined in, sending troops to West Asia after pledging support for Israel. And the United Nations, looking helpless and ineffective as usual. Its Secretary General, who has been banned from entering Israel, has called for an emergency meeting to address the escalating crisis. Viewers, I'd like to begin tonight with a comprehensive view of the situation in West Asia, which has only escalated. It's only increasing and getting worse by the minute. On the one hand, tonight, Israel has vowed of severe consequences against Iran for its ballistic missile barrage, saying that it is ready to fight the axis of evil on all fronts. On the other hand, we have an Iran that has warned of what they call crushing attacks if Israel retaliates. Now, are we therefore headed towards a full-blown conflict between Israel and Iran? This is not the first time that Iran has struck Israel and that revenge has been vowed. What does this mean for peace in West Asia? Or are we too late to de-escalate? Are we on chapter 1 of the Third World War? Let's debate.
At 8:30 p.m. local time, the residents of Jerusalem, Tel Aviv and other major cities in Israel were alarmed by glaring sirens as over 180 ballistic missiles from Iran lit up the night sky, with Israel's Iron Dome defense system in overdrive.
Israel now takes forward. Are they going to officially declare a war on Iran and hit back on Iranian targets, possibly nuclear sites? Those huge blips that you see in between those rockets moving in one direction, those are the Iron Dome rockets hitting those missiles.
The United States of America coming out in full support of Israel right now with that particular order that has been passed by President Biden to shoot down any of those missiles that have been fired from Iran to protect Israel. So you've had that kind of protection coming in. US has been saying that Israel has all rights to defend itself.
This is the first response that gotten from the Iran's supreme leader, that God's help and the victory is ours. And Khamenei media has also said that the fate of this region will be decided by his forces.
The escalation even prompted the United States to enter the critical situation to aid Israel's defense. with President Biden giving a free hand to the US forces in West Asia to shoot down incoming missiles from Iran.
Today, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles towards targets in Israel. The United States military coordinated closely with the Israeli Defense Forces to help defend Israel against this attack. U.S. naval destroyers joined Israeli air defense units in firing interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles. President Biden and Vice President Harris monitored the attack and the response from the White House Situation Room, joined in person and remotely by their national security team. We are still working with the IDF and the authorities in Israel to assess the impact of the attack. In short, based on what we know at this point, this attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective.
The attack from Iran has taken tensions in the region to the next level, with Israel vowing of severe consequences.
איראן עשתה הערב טעות גדולה, והיא תשלם על כך. המשטר באיראן לא מבין את נחישותנו להגן על עצמנו, ואת נחישותנו לגמול לאויבינו, אלה שלא מבינים זאת. הם יבינו. נעמוד בכלל שקבענו. מי שתוקף אותנו, אנחנו תוקפים אותו. זה נכון בכל מקום כשאנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע. זה נכון ליהודה ושומרון, זה נכון לעזה, ללבנון, לתימן, לסוריה, וזה נכון גם לאיראן. אנחנו נלחמים בציר הרשע בכל מקום.
While bringing you the latest updates from Israel last night, Republic also managed to get an official response from the Israeli Foreign Ministry on further course of action.
This is another act of aggression by Iran. This is not a retaliation. They can frame it as much as they want. At the end of the day, we are a very small nation. We're surrounded by enemies that are paid for by Iran. So this is for us a war against their proxies and against their trying to dominate this part of the world.
Meanwhile, celebrations erupted in Iran after the attack, with many hailing the IRGC's efforts. However, global leaders came out in strong condemnation of Iran's actions. Iran, at the moment, has closed its airspace in anticipation of an imminent retaliation from Israel. Meanwhile, Tehran has warned Israel of crushing attacks if it retaliates. As the next phase of war in West Asia opens up on multiple fronts, the biggest question is it too late to de-escalate tensions?
Now, as of tonight, we are in a real situation where this could escalate. I began by saying that I do not think Russia can stay uninvolved in this anymore. I do not think in a medium term the Chinese can stay uninvolved anymore. The Americans have got involved. Putin has spoken to leaders of the Arab world. This is, in my view, already chapter 1 of World War III. I, however, would like to open this up to the panel. And this evening I have, from the India view, we have Dr. Brahma Chalani, very well-known geostrategic expert, and Dr. Tara Kartha, who's former Director for the National Security Council Secretariat in India. From an Israeli view, I have Avishag Avinoam. He's former media coordinator to the Israeli Prime Minister. She is joining us today from Israel. From America, US, I have the Executive Director of Polaris National Security, Gabriel Noronha, who's a fellow at the American Jewish Institute for National Security of America. From Iran, I have this evening Dr. Omer Anas, Director Research of the Center for Studies. And finally, from Russia, I have Pelman Grigori, who's co-chairman of One Future Business and Culture. He's joining us from Russia. So we have a fairly representative panel. I'd like to start with the Iranian view. Dr. Omer Anas, now, it is inevitable, in my view, that the Israelis will escalate this further. And, they will hit back. Maybe this week, maybe in a few days, maybe tonight, So there is, we are already on the edge. Can Iran call off its support to terrorist groups like the Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthi. That will settle it. That seems to be the only way out as far as Iran is concerned, because it has got directly involved in this war now. Dr. Anas.
Thank you very much, Arnab, for having me here. Let me correct that I am not based in Iran. I am based in Turkish capital, Ankara, where I am a faculty member in a university. So you have raised a very genuine question, whether Iran is going to stop the support from the groups which you have just said are terrorist organizations. Let me explain it in this way, that Iranians have a different perspective. They think that Israel has not yet recognized the Palestinian borders or Palestinian state. The right to exist for Palestinian state is not yet recognized by Israel and most of the Western countries, especially the United States. And second, the right to return for refugees who were expelled in 1948 from Israel, from at that time Palestinian cities. The United Nations had recognized that they have the right to return. And this is one of the most important bone of contention on which Israelis and Arabs and Palestinians have not yet agreed. And the third condition for peace is East Jerusalem as the capital of Palestinian state, which has been recognized by most of the resolutions, as well as the Arabs and all organizations. So these are the three conditions on which Israel has not yet agreed and has been denouncing, has not recognized the Palestinian right. On the basis of this, for Iran, I think it will be quite difficult to recognize Israel's right and Israel's narrative on this war. And that is why Iran says that it would continue support to all organizations which are involved in fighting against Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands. So from this perspective, we should say that the first step must be taken from Israel, as the Arab organization, Arab countries, especially Saudi Arabia, had initiated in 2002 when King Abdullah proposed that all Arab countries are ready to recognize a state of Israel in return of Israel's recognition of a state of Palestine within the United Nations Security Council's approved resolution, and with the right of return of refugees and East Jerusalem as capital of the city. So if this framework is accepted by Israel, I think that peace is not very far.
What you say sounds quite rational, but then why did Iran justify gang rape and the use of rape as a weapon against the Israelis? You celebrated the gang rape of Israeli women last year.
Arnab, I think that there are so many conflicting reports, and I must say that the United States had invaded and destructed one country, Iraq, on the pretext of a war of weapon of mass destruction, WMD,
point
which
is,
was
Dr.
never found.
Anas.
So I don't
Dr.
think
Anas,
that
what is happening here? Sorry to intervene here. What is happening here is a different situation. Let me explain to you the way I look at it. As an Indian journalist, I very, very closely empathize with Israel, because we are exactly in the same situation that the Israelis are with the, we are the same situation with the Pakistanis that the Israelis are with the Iranians. Jaish-e-Mohammed on the one side, Hezbollah on the other, Houthis on the one side, Lashkar-e-Toiba on the other, Hizbul Mujahideen on the one side, and the Hamas on the other. Same system. And what is happening is that the world is saying we are a world of civilized nations. You go crying to the United Nations. But when the United Nations says that Israeli women were gang raped by the Hamas, you want to close your ears and not listen to them. So I don't see where Houthi, Hezbollah, and Hamas operate in a civilized world. And I think you're backing the wrong side. Proxies can't be used anymore. Al-Qaeda was a proxy, Hamas is a proxy. No difference, Dr. Anas.
Absolutely,
no civilized nation can use a proxy. If you want to go to war with the Israelis directly. Why go through South Lebanon? I'd like to bring in Avishag on this. Avishag, which way is it going from an Israeli perspective?
Well, I think we Israelis waited for this opportunity to finish this threat called Iran, not only for us, also for the entire region. So this is an opportunity for us after this massive, two attacks, not also we had in April an attack. So two massive scale attack on Israeli civilians. And so this is a chance for us and for the Western world to step in and really assist Israel in taking down this brutal regime that don't care. By the way, whatever this your guest from Turkey just said about human rights for the Palestinians, they couldn't care less. They assisted Assad, they assisted Hezbollah in killing Palestinians in Syria, it just, and also in Lebanon. It just lies, blunt lies. I don't take anything he says seriously when he talks about human rights, especially according to what's happening in his own country or the country he's advocating for. So I'm not taking this seriously. Regarding the gang rapes, I'm currently managing a digital campaign about Hamas sexual crimes, and I've been doing this since October 7th, collecting reports and information and data and testimonies of released hostages and people who were witnessing the assaults happening during the Nova Music Festival and at the different communities and kibbutzim in southern Israel. So, you know, I'm not surprised that he doesn't pay attention to that. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. He didn't even reply to your question. And I'm familiar with the situation you guys have in Pakistan with the Hindu villages, which women are being abducted and are being sexually abused and executed and sold to be married to old men. And it's happening right now also now in Bangladesh, and no one is talking about it. It happens in Nigeria. It happens all over the place. Everywhere you have extremism, Islamic extremism, you have that. Also, it's part of their, like, I don't want to generalize, but it is a religious obligation during a holy war. So this is something we have to pay attention to. And if the world will just ignore what Israel is coping right now for the past year, like they did, and they try to walk between, you know, the lines and not to take a firm stand. This is, after yesterday's attack, this is an attack not only on Israel, it's an attack about over Western civilization, Western interest, and the Western way of life. And it's not even Western, it's humanity. You know, nobody behaves like that. Nobody. Moderate Muslims don't behave like that. Hindus don't behave like that. Jews don't behave like that. Christians don't behave like that. It just doesn't happen, you know. And this is a time for us to take a stand. And I would like to thank Iran for giving us this opportunity to really start something that hopefully will bring to an end to this regime.
See, all of this is sounding very edgy tonight, viewers. Rama Chalani, as you're watching this tonight, and I've heard this line from the Israelis ad nauseum over the last 48 hours. We are grateful to Iran for giving us a chance to finish them. And I believe, Brahma, that this has been well planned by the Americans as well, which is why recently, a week back, as maybe a preemptive move, Biden said, I will approve the use of certain long-range missiles versus Russia, because America is concerned that if it gets involved in the Middle East, Russia will take advantage on the Ukraine front. I have no doubt in my mind, Brahma, that what is happening on Ukraine and what is happening in the Middle East are inevitably linked. And therefore, this is bigger than a regional conflict. What's your take?
Well, let us look at the bigger picture, Arnab. The Americans are getting more and more sucked into the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East.
Yes.
The Israelis are fighting multiple wars against Hamas, against Hezbollah, against the Houthis, against the Palestinians on the West Bank, and a shadow war against Iran that could turn into a direct conflict. And Iran looks much weaker than it pretends to be. It's not in Iran's interest to start a direct war with Israel. That's the last thing Iran wants. And I don't think even Israel wants to initiate a full-fledged war with Iran. So I think all said and done, with each side sending a message to the other, the way Iran has sent a message to Israel that it's not invincible, that it's vulnerable to Iranian ballistic missile strikes, and Israel will respond to those strikes. Will it respond the way it responded in April? The Israeli response in April was largely symbolic. It was not designed to inflict damage, destruction in Iran. It was to send a message to Iran. Will Israel likewise deliver a largely symbolic response to the Iranian ballistic missile strikes? If it does so, then these tensions will de-escalate. If it causes devastating, if it causes devastating impact through its strikes in Iran, then Iran will be forced to respond. So we'll get into a cycle of escalation.
But Brahma, things don't remain controlled in these situations. These may be sort of, wargaming experts, academic analysis. But this is, if everybody thought they could control the situation during the Second World War when it started with Germany invading Poland. And now today, look at the number of flashpoints that we have. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Iran, border skirmishes between India and China. I think this is a battle for the Persian Gulf. And we are on the edge of a very dangerous situation. Mr. Gregori, will Russia get involved? Will Russia get involved in this?
It's a very important question, and it's not possible to say exactly what actions will be taken. It's very important to understand that really the world is on the border of the Third World War. And French political leader need understand and to feel his personal responsibility, not only for the people in his country, but all over the world. And in this case, the only one solution what could be taken now, yes, definitely, probably everybody has the right. If we talk about the principle and the values that as it's usually we can find, let's say, announcement that on the south and on the east, everybody recognize only power. But I would like just to come to the very interesting message from Mahatma Gandhi when he say, if the world and each country will follow the principles eye for eye, the world become blind. And we need to stop this situation. We need to find a solution how to come in this very dangerous hours, in this very dangerous situation, when we have a real war between Israel, Iran, between Lebanon, between Palestinian people.
But Mr. Gregori, sorry to interrupt you there. It all sounds very good, but the biggest beneficiary of a war in the Middle East will be Russia. You will stand to gain the most because of a war, because you see Iran is the third largest producer of crude oil within OPEC. If this war continues, price of crude oil will be disrupted. And it will benefit Russia as a producer and exporter of oil, and you will take advantage of that situation. So it's a win-win for Russia as well. Am I wrong?
Yes, I think you are wrong. It's exactly the point of what you estimate as a win-win situation. You try to calculate the price for the people life and the price for life maybe for the humanity with the price and the income of national income from what Russia could get when the price for oil will increase.
Yeah, but Mr. Gregori, I'm only being practical. Russia supports China. China funds Iran. Iran funds Houthi. Iran funds Hamas, Iran funds Hezbollah. I'm being a realist here. And I believe at the end of the day, Iran is going to call up China. Iran is probably already calling up Russia and saying, please help us. The question is, will Putin say, I will not get involved?
I think Mr. Putin, first of all, will be involved with trying to find a peace solution, a diplomacy solution.
Russia will find a diplomatic solution? Russia will become a peace mediator?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
What do you think, Gabriel?
Yes. I think it's real. And I think not only Russia and other countries, we know that now also France tried to find a solution and other countries. And I think it's necessary to have a special cooperation of.
That's what you see. Eventually, it's going to be America, allies, and partner countries versus the rest. Anyone thinking that this will be controlled is completely wrong. It has already spun out of control. What do you think? Gabriel Noronha, please, from New York. Can you unmute yourself, Gabriel?
Yes, sorry about that. Yes, I don't think anyone's going to treat Russia as a serious negotiator or intermediary when they're one of the belligerents in this conflict. And we talk about whether this is World War III. You know, I think if the date was 1940, we might not know whether we were in World War II yet. The front had opened up in Czechoslovakia, like you said, but we hadn't had Pearl Harbor. We hadn't had the full invasion of France yet. And I think this is the key, that we are in the middle of the beginning of World War III. And it's a clear war of aggression on one side, of Russia invading Ukraine without any justification, of Hamas attacking Israel without any justification. And I think it's important to look at what just happened yesterday, that Iran, with no provocation, Israel hadn't sent bombers into Iranian airspace. Israel hadn't gone and blown up apartments, blown up civilians out in Tehran, goes and sends 180 ballistic missiles over Jordanian airspace, over Iraqi airspace, into civilian apartment buildings, into indiscriminately attacking Israel. And so that is very much an act of war. And so, per your guest from Israel's point, yes, this is an invitation. Israel now has cause belli under the international legal sense that they can go and take out Iran's nuclear program, Iran's oil infrastructure, and their ballistic missile program. The one part I might disagree where Russia does have an interest is Iran is the supplier for much of Russia's war machine. They are sending ballistic missiles, they are sending suicide drones. And if Iran is under the gun from Israel and other forces in the Middle East, they're going to want to preserve that arsenal to be able to defend themselves. They'll have a lot less to give to Russia. And I think this is where this starts getting into one axis, is that the Chinese, the North Koreans, the Russians, and the Iranians are combining their industrial capacity to be able to be one bloc to fight against countries they don't like, to invade their neighbors, and ultimately to array themselves against the United States and other free democratic countries.
So, I mean, the situation therefore then is that we also must keep in mind here that my personal view, Dr. Tara Kartha can tell us more, that this has a lot to do with the American elections as well. You have a less than bright Kamala Harris, who is seen as the best of the worst possible choices for the Democratic Party. And Biden would like to project her as a military expert. You see the number of tweets which have gone out since yesterday. Kamala Harris is sitting with me. Kamala Harris and I are in the Situation Room. Kamala Harris is deciding the next military move. It's comical. It's quite clear here. It's a combination of circumstances. You see, Gabriel, World War I, World War II happened because of a combination of circumstances. Here we are, Putin on the back foot. Biden needs to prove something. There is an American election coming up. China is in economic trouble. The only way for China to get out of the mess is to put the rest of the world in trouble. And all of these things are coming together. And I believe there's no pulling back. Is there any pulling back now, Tara? What do you think? Can there be any pulling back from where we are right now?
I don't think Israel has any possibility other than to retaliate against Iran. I mean, given the size it is, given where it is, It cannot. I mean, it's surrounded by this bunch of people who want to annihilate it. I mean, how can, under international law, by the way, Israel has the right to attack a country which refuses to act against non-state actors, against acts of terror against itself. That's under international. Forget the missile strikes. Just in terms of the kind of people that Iran supports. And these are not in tens and hundreds. These are 50,000, 30,000. There's a whole bunch of people. So that is, but having said that, there is also, Iran would like to, and it's Hamas and all the rest of it. Having said that, Israel also has supported Hamas in the past. Netanyahu has supported Hamas in the past to prevent the Palestinian Authority from taking place. So there are these 2 points of view. Unless both sides, Iran has to stop supporting terror. There's no two ways on that. And if there's a regime change which does that, all the better for Iranians. But Israel also has its share of what it has done. You know, you've lit this fuse for years. You've let Hamas grow. And then Hamas attacks. But then Hamas's terrible attack on Israel, I think it was calculated to create this effect which it did. It was a calculated strike, and Israel was forced to react. So right now, I think much of the sympathy is with Israel because that was a terrible attack. And Israel really has no choice but to do whatever it will. It has to retaliate against Iran.
So this is where we are placed right now. And everybody knows the grim situation. Situation is so bad, Brahma, right now, that a few minutes back we were told that Israel has declared the UN Secretary General persona non grata. The UN Secretary, the Security Secretary General has been crying before his own body and saying the UN has no meaning. The UN Security Council has no meaning. So the entire system that was created after World War II has fallen apart as of this minute, as of tonight. That's how the situation is. Everything's falling apart. There is no chance, Brahma, at any mediation. The UN is completely ineffective. And the Americans, the French are all together right now. They're saying we're going to give it back completely to the Iranians. How do you see things moving forward in the next week?
There are two issues, Arnab. First, the UN has become increasingly marginalized in international affairs. Its main task is peace and security in the world, and yet it is sitting on the sidelines, whether it's the Ukraine war or the conflicts in the Middle East, and nobody takes the UN Secretary General seriously. As far as Israel is concerned, Israel faces an existential crisis. Its very existence is being challenged by the so-called axis of resistance. So Israel has the legitimate right to respond to those who threaten its very existence. Unfortunately, over the years, Israeli decision makers have been tactical geniuses. They have been great at achieving tactical successes, but they have been rather not very wise in seeking and achieving long-term strategic success. As a result, Israel's neighborhood has gone from being bad to worse. Israel's security has come under increasing pressure. Today, the choice before Israel is to think long-term and not think tactically, not think of achieving short-term successes. Assassinating Nasrallah was a great psychological blow to Hezbollah and also undermines the capability of Hezbollah to regroup under a new leadership. But Hezbollah is going to recoup from the assassination of its leader. The fact is that even in Gaza, after nearly a year of war, the Israeli military is now acknowledging that Israeli forces are still meeting organized Hamas resistance, but Hamas still able to recruit new fighters. And the Israeli military also admits that Bibi's goal of eliminating Hamas is not a feasible military objective. By comparison,
then what is a feasible military objective? Surely you don't think as Abhishek has said, that Israel can finish off Iran. That can't be a military objective.
Well, I don't think even finishing off Hezbollah is not a realistic military objective for Israel. Containing Hezbollah, containing Hamas, yes, are realistic military objectives. But wiping out Hezbollah is not going to be possible given the fact that Hezbollah has a hold on the Lebanese Shia population.
But they have the advantage. They have the momentum, don't they? They have the momentum. And obviously, there's also political pressure building on Netanyahu. There's a lot of support building for him. He's going to take advantage of it. He's going to push the boundaries right now. And that's what we are all debating right now. If Netanyahu pushes the boundaries, what's his next move? What's his next move, Avishag? You must be following as a journalist, and also, you must be following the conversation on social media there, the political conversation. What is he going to do next? He's got the Americans with him. He's got the French with him. He's going to be the leader of a global coalition right now. What will he do next?
Yeah, we do hope so. We will have a global coalition to handle this, this major problem that we have here. But regarding what will be the next step, I cannot really tell you. The cabinet has been assembled throughout the night and the day, figuring how to tackle what just happened. But from what I see, Israeli people and Israeli society cannot just endure that anymore. 60,000 people from the north are currently scattered across the central of Israel. You have another approximately between 30 to 40,000 people from the south that did not came back to their homes and villages and cities in the southern part of the country.
Avishag, is Netanyahu looking for a face saver, or is he looking to finish Iran? Because finishing Iran is not feasible. Does he look for a face saver? Maybe release the hostages. Maybe if the Hamas release the remaining hostages. Maybe that
we all want to finish. We all want to finish Iran because Iran is the source of everything. And whoever attacked us on October 7th, it was Iran under Hamas name. So we have to remember that they were behind that. They were the ones who were funding it and training them. So this is the source. This is the source of all evil at the moment, and we have to address that.
So why didn't you attack them? If you knew that, why didn't you attack them a year back? Why did you kill Nasrallah now? Why did you kill Ali Karkari earlier? Why did you kill Mohammad Hussein earlier? Why did you kill Mohammad Daif earlier? Why did you kill Ismail Haniyeh earlier? You are not wanting to. The truth is, you don't want to finish Iran. You want to demobilize them.
No.
You want to weaken them.
No.
You don't want to finish. You could have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't think so?
If we will weaken them, that will be good too. As long as they will not have nuclear power. I want you to understand.
Well, why do you bring in the angle of nuclear power here? They're not officially a nuclear powered nation. They are not officially a nuclear.
Okay. And this is how they behave. This is how they behave when they don't have nuclear. Now imagine what will happen once they will.
Yeah. So that's one point. Viewers, I want to explain this. What Avishag is saying is very, very critical. There is a growing view that Iran either has the capability or is on the edge of developing and having nuclear weapons. And in fact, I was horrified yesterday when I saw some people, some commentators in some left liberal rags, I think like The Guardian or New York Times, I don't remember which said that Iran must defend itself with nuclear weapons right now. People were actually writing that kind of stuff. Does Iran have nuclear capability at any level? And should this situation escalate, can this turn into nuclear war at any point? Dr. Anas.
Yeah, first of all, we have to understand that Americans and Europeans have provided everything to Israel to become a semi-colonial country in the region. But Israelis must understand that Israel does not have the resources, the capability, or the philosophical strength to become a colonial country or the viceroy of an imperial power in the Middle East. So the regional countries are not going to accept that status of Israel in the region. And that is the main contention between Israel and Egypt, Turkey, and other countries. all countries who accept Israel as equal partner, including Turkey, Egypt, and Jordan, they want Israel to become an equal country, one. Second thing is that Iran philosophically has been declaring that having nuclear weapons is against their philosophy. They don't want it. They want just it for peaceful use for civilian energy purposes.
You don't believe
I doubt that. I doubt that because no country is in international politics. Every country is guided by its own national interest, and I think that Iranians must be looking for some nuclear weapon possibilities into that project. And this war and Israel's statements now will be used as justification if Iran is going to restart its resumption of uranium enrichment. I think that Israeli threats will be used as justification. The thing is that Israelis have yet to show that they are ready to accept Palestinian state within these boundaries.
But do the Iranians accept the Israelis' right to exist? Is an equal question. Gabriel?
I think yes.
So I first have to find it funny the word colonial used in terms of Israel. Israel, they were there thousands of years ago. We can debate over that for years and years. But they don't try to create new colonies around the rest of the Middle East. But there's one country that does try to create colonies throughout the Middle East, and it's Iran. They create colonies in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Iraq, and they try to create terror groups in all these countries, which are vassals and answer to Tehran. That sounds like an awful lot like a colonial power to me. In terms of nuclear power, look, there's no country which enriches uranium to 60%, which enriches almost 200 kilograms of uranium to that point. There's no civilian use for that uranium. That's only uranium that can be used for nuclear weapons purposes. And they've even enriched some to 84% purity. That's weapons grade purity right there. So I think we should all.
So is this happening? One minute, Gabriel, is this happening? Is this happening, Brahma, because America and Israel suspect that the Iranians are close, to being nuclear equipped? That this is the best time for them to do this?
To do what, Arnab?
To carry out the kind of strikes that they have and to use what happened on October 7th to move ahead and, as Avishag said, do everything to finish Iran, eliminate Hezbollah, Hamas and Houthi in one go with American help.
Not Iran. I just want to clarify, not Iran, the Iranian regime.
The Iranian regime, as you say.
80% of Iran wants them gone too, so.
Yes, Brahma.
Well, I think it's clear that Iran does not have nuclear weapons at present, though it's working to achieve that nuclear weapons capability. How long it will take Iran to achieve nuclear weapons capability, nobody knows. But it's been striving hard for years now to achieve that nuclear weapons capability. Where Iran has made significant progress is in drone and ballistic missile capabilities. There, despite harsh Western sanctions, Iran has made tremendous progress. In fact, the attacks in April and now in this week show that Iran's missile capability is quite impressive for a country that is isolated and squeezed internationally. So the missing link in Iranian capability is the nuclear link. If Iran gets the nuclear bomb, its threat to the region and to international security will become quite serious.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping this up with going full frame to the pictures left-hand side of your screen, and the pictures are from Beirut tonight. We have this long shot from Beirut. You see smoke in different parts of Beirut. You also know, ladies and gentlemen, that there has been Israeli strikes on the southern suburbs of Beirut. That is what we have been hearing. And The Israeli military is already has already said it will strike very carefully at places where it feels it needs to eliminate terrorists. Viewers, the situation is extremely on the edge. And when I come back, we'll talk about what line India should take, because we have excellent relations with Israel and fairly good relations with Iran as well. What should be our line when I'm back?
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.